So realistically, I think we're going to expect more of the same composition. Before the release of Sigma, it was very much an Orisa-based meta on Havana, with the Orisa, Hog, and then potentially a Widow for the first point and a Hanzo for the second point. So I expect us to be something quite similar, but again with potentially Sigma subbing in for the D.Va or Roadhog.
Yeah, no, that is right. Though Team Switzerland, of course, could have a bit of an ace in the hole right there, because their DPS individually, at least when we're looking at their peak SR, should be a little bit higher than the one for Team Israel, if I read this chart right. So in terms of individual prowess, we might just see some DPS pop-offs on Widowmakers, on those long-range engagements, especially here on that first point. What can we expect to see? What do you think? What are the predictions?
So I think if we do lean towards Hanzo and Widow, I still think Sigma's better, just because that, again, the big difference between Sigma and Orisa is Sigma's shield is constantly movable. So if you're disengaging, you can keep replacing the shield in front of you. In an Orisa, the Orisa meta, one Orisa can overlap shields, and then you're stuck for, I think it's 8 seconds for cooldown. So then you're stuck for that period of time. With the Sigma, you get a constantly moving one. So I think that's a huge advantage to have in these sort of pick-based battles when we see the Hanzo and the Widowmaker. So, and also you can shut down 2 spaces at one time as well, is the other option. So if a Widow is on high ground, the Sigma can sort of do the role of a D.Va, but instead of using the defense matrix or shifting to take a high ground, they can just sort of lock it off with their shield.
Yeah, no, that is right. And the attacking team right now, Team Switzerland, are not opting for a very long-range approach anyway. So, getting close to Sigma in this case seems key, which is, of course, his biggest weak point. But we'll see whether or not they can actually manage to do that, as Israel has been setting up on the high ground, has been setting up with a double sniper and a Sigma of their own. So, getting that payload and themselves close enough to actually do some significant damage might be an issue as we are out of the gate.
Great sightlines for Alive and Aviv here. So the danger for Switzerland is really making their way through here. Again, the Sigma barrier might have helped them more, but they're getting through pretty fine. Israel don't seem too interested in contesting. They want to fight them in this wider area where their snipers can get flanked. A lot of pressure on Jaden to find space because he is outnumbered, but it's Alive who strikes first, Ollie.
Oh, Alive absolutely does strike first, and we see the payload now slowly moving around the edge. Now, this is the critical part of the first push. We already see that Team Switzerland are getting a bit low. Health is going down. Alive finds him there, gets Phalix out of the mech. So both tanks suddenly down, and Alive has a free play. Knasen gets Gypsum out of it, and Team Switzerland have to effectively return to base and regroup.
I think you need to look at Jaden and Phalix here to try and take control on one of these high grounds, because if they do win the frontline fight, but the problem is they have to take it in such an open area, they just get pinged from either side by various snipers. They need to clear out that top right high ground as a minimum, and then maybe they can take a more convincing fight. But they're antied right now, so they've got to play cautiously.
Yeah, and they are trying to play it cautiously, very slowly here. Sir Gibson already down, Mr. Bobo down, and it looks as if Alive is just popping off, taking Phalix again out of the mech and just letting them run away, in order to stagger it out quite a bit. With 2 minutes to go, this does look like Team Switzerland needs to change it up, otherwise they will not be able to find that first point push right here.
It's not just not looked good, it's not even looked like it's been close or like Israel had been particularly taxed. Israel haven't used an ult yet, I don't think. They're just coming up to all 6 now. Alive's going to pop the infra site. Still not going to do a massive much to help them, but will slow them down a little bit. But really we need something different from Switzerland. We need more commitment, we need them to clear out an area. They need to force a fight. They might still lose picks to the snipers, but they need to trade kills effectively. They have spawn advantage here. A fight and trades are okay. And here comes the coalescence to start.
Okay, yeah, and we see Knasen here ready with the ultimate, trying to side it up, and now finally popping it up, and this looks like this could be trouble with the double kill for Knasen, with a very nice flank here on that Sigma. One of the more mobile solutions once you're in the middle of a fight finally goes down, though, through Sir Gibson's freeze, and now Team Switzerland are still pushing up. Alive and Knasen gone. Put's in trouble, so we'll see whether or not they can set it back up.
Seems absolutely criminal that Pud's got out there. Now Aviv can come back in with the Dragon Strike. He takes down Jaden and is pushing for flank, so Gibson has that Blizzard. They might need it soon because they're still in trouble here. Swaps coming in, a fast-paced approach from Israel, and they're swinging it back, Ollie.
Yeah, the supercharger is out there, and it looks as if Israel is not giving them any room to survive. Alive, popping off on Gibbon and Mr. Bobo with the two-set. Knarson now on that hamster is taking down Niv, and it looks as if they're not giving them any room to set up another thing. With 30 seconds on the clock, Switzerland is in deep trouble.
Bit of a scuffed comp now with Knarson on that Hammond, but he has played it quite a lot before in the past, so it is something he's capable on, and it will be effective at just sitting on top of Jaden and making his life difficult. Final push now. They have the self-destruct, they have the beat, they have to make this work.
They have to make this work, and they have to make it work quickly. Sir Gibson trying to stop Knarson, who finally goes down there. Avive, though. Avive with a double taken on with a life in the sides there. They are just crossing the streams at this point, and the Ghostbusters are in. Avive trying to find and finding Niv, and it is over.
Huge from Aviv. Mr. Bobo had beat as well. I was just thinking when that first kill goes through, I think it was Aviv who got the first one as well on the May. I was like, you have to win this fight. Drop that beat now. Drop that beat now. Drop that beat now. Eventually, Aviv picks him off as well. And from there, you're 2 down. You've lost your main ultimate, and it just all falls apart. And unfortunately, that's a pretty poor offense, and Israel were going to be licking their lips and its opportunity to push.
That was an absolutely beautiful defense. I mean, you have these crossfires. They were absolutely fantastically set up. But let's see what Team Switzerland is going to do in order to at least balance this out. They seem to be the team that is a bit slower on the aggressive side, on the decisive side, but that can actually work in your favor on defense. Now, if you were Team Switzerland, what would you do, Commander?
So I wouldn't be surprised if Israel ran a sniper again in one form or the other, whether it's the Hanzo or the Widow. So I think you need to bear that in mind, and you need to have something that can match it of their own. The main problem they're going to have is because it's a first point defense, you have to kind of pick a composition that can do well against everything. You need to be able to deal with every possible threat, or you'll just be counterpicked. It's not normally the worst thing in the world because you have the second point and third point to adapt yourself. But because they only got it to just short of first point, they don't have a chance to adapt to defend. This cop that Switzerland have picked for Reaper May, they have to be able to take on any composition here. So if they're in the mirror, that should be okay. Even though they did poorly on Ilios, it's at least even. The problem is if it's something else, they need to play at a much faster pace. They want to play fast, they're playing at spawn early, they want to give no room to Israel whatsoever.
Yeah, very aggressive defense. Don't let them set up, especially with those aggressive and excellent snipers on their team. So you want to be in their face. You want to make sure that they can't get out, and that's what they're doing. The hold is coming out there. The rock is being thrown, and Knarson finds Niv. So it is Team Israel with a man advantage right now as Gibbon goes down as well. Dark Artist takes down Jaden, and it looks as if Israel will be able to make it out of the gate right away, just breaking that defense very, very far up there. Alive is just taking shot after shot, and now it is Team Israel who are parking this payload up.
Again, I'm not quite sure how Niv ended up dying first to Knarson. Knarson seemed to get so much damage there. We talked about how the Gravitic Flux was one of the slowest charging ults, but Knarson's got it before everyone. Before the Widowmaker, before Viana, and he's got it now for this next fight. It's okay for Switzerland because they took a fight at spawn, so they get one more fight, they get a second opportunity to defend this first point. Still 3 minutes to go. They've got to play wide. They can't all get caught by this Gravitic Flux.
Yeah, and they are all just standing there, all completely clutched up. And I wonder if they know that Knarson has the ultimate.
Oh,
it doesn't look like it. There's 3 people up there and not finding anything directly. But Knarson still finishes Jaden. That Reaper is out of the game, and that could potentially be huge. Now, Dark Arthur's putting up there, moving up together with Knarson in absolute concord. They are just altering their shields up and not giving Team Switzerland any approaches as they're going in there. The Blizzard coming out. Niv in trouble. Help in trouble. Knarson finds Sir Gibson, and it is Switzerland who cannot possibly put anything into that as even Phalanx goes down. The team kill is out, and so is that payload.
Cruising right now from Israel. They killed. Great job from Knarson. He targets the exact right people. He kills for DPS. So then even when Switzerland stabilize and they drop that beat, and all of a sudden it looks like Switzerland can turn the fight. The problem is, they've got Orisa, they've got Diva, they've got Lucio, and they've got Moira trying to do enough damage through double shields to force a kill or turn a kill against Israel. And it's just really tough without this DPS to turn it. So great target selection by Israel. Ultimately, it was always going to be a pretty straightforward attack for them, but you still got to make it work. You still got to put in the execution and make sure you get it, and they did. And right now, Israel 2-0 up, and they look pretty set to do quite well in this group.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do look dominant right now. Now whether or not